Good morning, everybody. I'm going to try this again, and hopefully my cat will not eat a plant again. So, anyway, I'm Sherri Leopold, and this is Outside the Box with Sherri, and I am from Springfield, Illinois, and I'm super excited. I have one of my co-authors that's going to be joining us. There she is. Let's see if I can bring her on. This is Hope Marshall. Let's see, hopefully I'm adding you. And I'm super excited because I've not met her in person. You're going to hear background noise. It's so loud in my house because I have company. So there she is. Good morning, Hope. How are you?
Hi, good morning.
I'm excited. It worked. Oh my gosh. Sometimes my Facebook Live things don't work well, and it went perfectly. So that's awesome. So
Oh,
good
good.
morning. I hope you're having a fabulous morning.
I am. I just finished my coffee, so
There you go. I'm a
yeah.
thriver. I don't drink coffee, but that's okay. Whatever floats your boat and makes you go in the morning, it's good. My evening ended really late, so if I look tired, that's why. It's whatever. I got a little thing on my face. I dropped some pizza on my face. It literally burned my face. Like everything's great.
Oh no.
That's what I
Oh
get.
man.
That's what I get for being excited to eat it too fast. But anyway, I'm
Mhm.
very happy to have you on this morning. One of the things with Outside the Box, and I know we talked about this, is just really interviewing people who do not stay inside the box, who live life large, and yeah,
I tried.
I just glanced over your bio again, and I'm like, oh, she definitely does that, so I'm excited to share a little bit about what you do. Um, in your quote unquote real life, and little just tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we'll jump into a little bit about your story from grief to grind.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I guess by trade, you could say I'm an instructor. So I'm an IT instructor in the federal government.
Okay.
So I write job aids. I give classes. I manage our learning portal. Um, so I guess part of that is speaking as well and writing. A lot of teaching or instructing, I should say, because teaching is different from instructing. But a lot of it is writing and being able to convey the material in such a way for a learner, for an adult learner. So that's mainly what I do. Um, and I guess the fun part is I spent some time in the military, so I'm a Navy veteran as well.
Thank you for your
Um,
service.
you're welcome. And I did AmeriCorps for about 2 years, which is how I was able to segue into my career now as an instructor. Because I happened upon it, by accident, and I was like, oh, I really like this field of work. I think I'm gonna try to transition. So,
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
and I'm a cat owner. Her name's
Oh.
Gwen.
Hey, you missed you missed I tried to start once before. I had to go delete it. I was over here. I had to run off camera. One of my cats is on the porch with me because I have a house full of company, and my cat was eating a plant. I'm like, oh, excuse me a minute.
It's like, no, you can't be doing that.
I'm like, so cat owner life. Anyway, that
Yeah.
just makes me like more. So
hmm
anyway, can you tell us? I'm not sure if you said where you're from.
I'm from Maryland originally. I'm from Baltimore, but
Okay.
I live closer to DC now.
Okay.
So, and I've been living here in I guess you could say the DC metro area for about 3 years, which is weird because I was dead set against living on this end of 95 South because I'm just like, oh, the people are so shallow and they're this and they're that and meh, 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 and then it's like, oh, I always saw myself as a car owner that I would never, get rid of my car. I could never ride public transportation, and I'm doing all of that, you know.
There you
So
go.
Yep. So
That's what we get for thinking sometimes.
exactly. Like you just never know where, where your life is gonna, is gonna take you,
Hmm.
because if you would have told me just 5 years ago I'd be living here and really enjoying it, I wouldn't have believed you. Like, oh no, no.
Yeah.
So,
I drove in that traffic and it was a holiday weekend, so it was a little bit less than normal, and it was still crazy. I
yes,
was like, oh
it is
my
great.
gosh. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't blame you at all. So anyway, okay, so I want to talk a little bit about our co-venture here. On August 27th is our official launch day for From Grief to Grind anthology, and there's a total of 8 of us, and Hope and I are actually two of the writers. And so, what I'd like to do is, I'd like to have you give just a little couple tidbits. I don't want to give your whole story away. So, if you just share a little bit, because what the anthology is a group of people that are sharing their story of how something that they went through in the form of grief has actually propelled them into something that has become more of a passion for them. At least that's my way of describing it. So, anyway, so if you could just tell just a little bit about what your story that you shared is, but not
Yeah,
giving away the
sure,
whole story.
sure. So, as I had mentioned before, I was in the Navy. I joined the Navy in 1994. So I was a young pup, from Baltimore, and I got stationed out in California, and I just made a complete, just bad decision, and to where there was no way like out of it that I could see to try to get out of it by myself.
Mhm.
And I just learned so many lessons based on that decision. I learned that the people that you think are going to be there for you, they're not. And people that you think aren't going to be there for you, and the people that you think aren't watching and noticing and paying attention, they come through at like the 11th hour.
Right.
And there's this saying, God takes care of babies and fools. And it's really true.
That's
It's
awesome.
really true because, the decision I made, I was a fool. And it was really nothing but like, okay, God was up there like, okay, this girl, ugh, let me move some things around here because she don't have a clue. And and just everything was a disaster. Everything that I thought, like the friends I thought I had, everything was just ruined, and I had to start all over. And but the beauty of it is there's this quote by Masahide. He's like some Japanese um, Buddhist or something, and it says, "The barn's burnt down. Now I can see the moon." So some now, I'm 42 now, and I was like 20, I think, back then, and I now see that when things are really out of control and everything seems like, oh my God, nothing is working out, it's a prompt to, okay, get ready, because something else, the path is being cleared for something else to come through. So
Absolutely.
all of that happened, and then almost immediately after, okay, all of that was cleared out, all those friends, they were cleared out, and I got better at my job. Just some other things, came about, and some other opportunities presented themselves. And after that, I wound up having a very successful, career, like in the military, and kind of earned like the respect of like leadership, and, to the point where they were like, "Are you sure you want to get out? Like, is there anywhere?" Like, I remember our career counselor, when I decided, okay, I'm going to get out, because my enlistment was up. And, he's like, "Are you sure? Is there some place that we can send you? Like, we can negotiate some orders that we can keep you in, because you're so sharp and you're so professional you know, but if I hadn't gone through, what I went through, who knows if I would have become like that person." So,
Right.
I learned that when things are going bad, because I mean, that's life. Things happen. When things are going bad, it's a time to say, "Oh, okay, let me steer the course because something else is getting ready to come. I'm being prepared for something
Right.
else." Instead of running away and like trying to do like, "Oh, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to be sad and I don't want to be bothered with that." That's a ripe, it's a time to say, "Oh, wow, something I can't wait. Something good is getting ready to happen." So,
And I think that's a very common thing. People think that bad things or difficult times or whatever, they think, oh my gosh, this is the most terrible thing. And I am of that opinion as well, is that sometimes what that does is just preparing you for something else. And I think the other thing is, and this, I kind of cover this in my story, what happens is that I believe you get yourself in alignment for what your next position is and the thing that you're supposed to do through the bad stuff. And perhaps some of the people you are need to be in alignment with, you don't know yet. And so it clears out some of those people who aren't necessary, like you were saying, and puts you in the space of the people who are going to propel you to what you're needing to go where your destiny and your journey lies.
mhm.
So I can totally relate exactly to what you're saying. So tell me what some of the things that you're currently working on, and that aside from the book coming out August 27th, which I know we're all excited about,
Yeah.
can you share with me some of the other things that you're doing personally, Hope?
Sure, sure. So I just wrapped up a 12-week cohort with e-newsletter called GovLoop, GOVLOOP,
Hmm.
and it's I was doing career blogs. So once a week I was submitting a blog about some professional development subject like email etiquette, the importance of networking, how to navigate your first 52 weeks in the federal government,
That's awesome.
writing accomplishment reports, things like that. So I just finished that. And now I'm working on, I just, of course, wrapped up the book. And so now I'm actually preparing for the some t-shirts that I'm selling. I have a venture on Instagram, and it's called Corny Girl Chronicles, Persnickety Ramblings of the Overly Insightful. Um,
I love the name so much.
and it's just me, um, just commentary, social commentary, and encouraging people to like pay attention to what's happening because sometimes there's some great things that you miss and funny things. Like one time I
Mhm.
saw somebody coming down the escalator with a bunch of government folders in their hand that they had clearly taken from the office, and it's just like, you didn't even bother to put that in your briefcase. You stole those from work. So like I made a video about that, and just like silly things and some insightful things. I try to use like wit, um and merge wit and empowerment together,
Mhm.
and because it's like, that's, I feel like as Black women, we're either supposed to be fierce like Beyonce, or we have to be like Aunt Jemima, where it's like we're the caregiver or
Right.
you're the sexy siren. Like there's no
Yes.
like
Hmm.
middle ground. And it's just like, no, I'm not sexy like Beyonce. I'm kind of pigeon-toed. It is what it is. You can't really be pigeon-toed trying to walk in high heels. It's just not going to work.
I
So
just don't
then,
like high heels, so that's all there is to that. But
right. And I'm not necessarily, Aunt Jemima either. So it's like sometimes we don't often get, those that chance to embrace certain parts of yourself. So, I've
hmm
always been kind of corny, kind of quirky, kind of witty, and it wasn't always, embraced, but it's just like, hey, this is my brand of femininity. And yeah, some people might it might resonate with some people and with others not so much. And that's okay. Um, and then I have some t-shirts that I'm selling through Teespring. And the t-shirt is called All the Quirky Girls. And it has all the quirky women from like the 21st century, starting with like Josephine Baker,
hmm
Whoopi's on there. It's just their names.
Uh-huh.
And it goes all the way down. And just all the quirky women that have made an impact, on me. So like I really identify with Josephine Baker. I love her. Um, Maya Rudolph from Saturday Night Live. She's hilarious.
Oh
You
yes,
know,
definitely.
yeah. So I have those shirts that I'm selling,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah. And what else do I have? And I'm finishing up. I have a book called Corny Girl Chronicles,
hmm
but I'm I'm trying to like sort of put it off for next year so that I can concentrate on the anthology and
hmm
give it the promotion and the love that it needs. And then it's like, okay, well, next year I'll start promoting that book. So it's pretty
And
much
I
finished.
clearly am doing both at the same time because I'm getting ready to finish my personal book.
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
that smart. I'm like, it's okay. So
So
I clearly
so
am
I guess
overly quirky or something.
yeah.
Anyway, oh, that's awesome. So one of the things I'm going to have you do when we get off the video is to come back to the live when it posts, and I'll have you type in where they can follow you on Instagram, also where they can get the t-shirts and things like that. So that people can get connected with you with your various platforms. And so do you have a target date for your next personal book? Because this is your first published work, right? The Grief to
Y-
Grind
yes.
anthology. Yes, because
Yes.
it's mine also, with another one right on
Mhm.
the heels. So we're like right, we're twinsies in that. So,
Right, right. Um, I was thinking around like spring, the
mhm.
spring of 2019.
Okay.
Um, as far as like the genre, I guess you can call it humor. It's sort of like George Carlin, if George Carlin was a middle-aged black woman. So it's like punny, like one-liners. Um,
That's awesome.
yep, advice. Pictures I've seen. Like one time I went to Atlantic City and I saw this picture in a nail shop and it said, are you ready to be nailed? And it was like, wow, that's a double entendre. Like, you're ready to be nailed, you know? But it was in a nail shop. So,
That's funny.
I have like dozens of pictures of, stuff like that with like corny one-liners. Like I saw a book in the Goodwill, and the title of it was "When Sex Is Bad." And it was an adult book, and I'm just like, wow, this is where we are as a society. We are selling books in the Goodwill that says "When Sex Is Bad." so so
I
it's
guess you
full
go to
of
the Goodwill when it's bad. I don't know.
Right. So it's full of, one-liners. I'm really inspired by writers like David Sedaris and Augustine Burroughs. I'm sure you've heard of those guys. Just very witty, funny, um, satirist, and they write, they're like essayist, and memoirist. So yeah, those are my bench. I have a blog as
Oh,
well.
yes.
Yes, through WordPress. I need to start it. I created it and I put a few, some things there, but I need to like sit down and, you know, really, really do something with it. I'm also
Well, and if
a
you
self,
you can put
yeah.
that link in the comments as well, because I know a lot of people really like the blogs. I have one too on my website, and the person that helps me with my website consistently says it's just called "What's on My Mind," and so sometimes it's a little longer, sometimes it's a rant. So you never know what you're going to get on it.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's on a product or chemicals trying to kill us, but who knows? I mean, it's just all random things that occur to me. Kind of my quirky chronicle, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's consistently the highest thing viewed on my website. So the
Hmm.
people love that. So I'd love for you to put that on there as well. Do you have anything else that you would like to share with us about what you're doing? And I mean, obviously, a lot of those things are outside the box. I mean, you went from the traditional military role. And left that, which I'm sure is the safety parameters of that, to stepping out into a completely different role. And not everybody has a blog and is writing books, and so obviously that is another area that puts you outside the box.
Hmm.
But is there anything else that you would like us to know about you, or what you're doing?
I'm trying to think. And also I support minimalism, and living small. My current apartment is 369 square feet. Um, and that's another thing that I'd like to, promote to, to women as well. Like, hey, because I see how things are marketed to women. And,
Hmm.
like you go into the mall, there's more women's stores than men because they
Yeah.
know that women are like emotional shoppers, we're impulse buyers, and then in like 6 months, like I got a bag over there now with like things that I bought within the last 2 years that I'm not even wearing. And it's just like, okay, I could have imagined how much money I could have saved if I didn't buy this. So sometimes I talk a lot about that. One of the books that changed my life for that was Everything That Remains,
Oh.
by Josh Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus.
Hmm.
And and I hearken back to when I was in the military and I lived on the ship, and they used to have this saying, if it didn't come in your sea bag, you don't need it. And in a sense, that's true because we collect a lot of stuff in
Yes.
life that doesn't bring us joy, that we feel ambivalent about, because of some fake, like, emotional tie to it. And, we just wind up, do we need a full bedroom suite or do we just need a bed and a dresser? Like, do we need three couches in the living room or do we just need one and a table?
Right.
So yeah,
It's
I'm all
interesting because
about like,
I've been
yeah.
watching HGTV.
Hmm.
So I've been watching some of, and I don't watch very much TV, but I really do love that channel. And I'm watching like the tiny house thing, as opposed
Oh
to
yeah.
like these young couples who are like, oh, this is a terrible ensuite in the bathroom. There's not two sinks. And I'm like, really? Like, you can't put your face in the sink of the person that you're kissing? What? Just like,
Right.
but I'm like, it goes to what you're saying. It's like, oh my goodness, how did we get here? But anyway, I totally relate to that. It's like,
Mhm.
wow, okay, so like, what's really important at the end of the day? I don't know. And
Right. Right.
maybe we're more aware of that from the whole process of the grief to grind. I think it's a sift and sort, and God absolutely pushes that button and makes you see what's important and who's
Mhm.
important.
Yes.
and that's a process, I think, of both of our journeys, and I think you'll see that probably that thread throughout the whole book, is that that's an illumination for all of us that we've gone through to find out what is important, who is important, and why things and people are important, and what
Hmm.
role they play. I that's the whole vibe, I think, the undercurrent of the book, of getting from a place of pain to a place of purpose, I guess is the word I'm going to use. But
Yes.
and I mean, I love all the exciting things that you're doing. And when we finish up, and as I said, as it's posted, what I'd like for you to do is to put the things in the comments. And if you'll send me a private message with those, I'll get them up when we post the video too on my YouTube channel. So
Okay.
I thank you so much for being my
Yeah.
first author, co-author on my Think Outside the Box with Sherri. I know, see, you're a trailblazer already. And I can't wait for your next book to come out, because I like that, because the type of book that you're writing is one that I can go, okay, I have 10 minutes. I can read for a little bit. I can set it down
Exactly.
and then pick it
Exactly.
back up and not be
Right.
lost and go, oh, now what was going
Mhm.
on here? Yeah, I spend 5 minutes in confusion trying to remember. So
Yep.
I love that kind of book. So that's awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. And I will, of course, maybe just have you jump back on and talk about that when you release that in the spring. So I am very thankful for you for being a co-author, and
Yep.
I'm excited
You.
for our journey. I'm hoping, I have to see how the schedule all works out, but I'd love to come out and do the uh, the book launch out in DC. If I can get out
Hmm.
there, I will do that. And I got lost horribly. This very funny story. That would be one for your book. Let me tell you about our trip in DC. We lost our car, but anyway, it's a long story.
Oh
We
wow.
found it eventually, but it took 2 hours. It's okay.
Oh
Yeah, that's
yeah.
just
It's
that's
the
just like
traffic
with
here
Sherry.
is horrendous. It's
Oh,
horrendous, and they just keep on building. It's like,
I
okay,
know.
there's no room. You can't put anything else. Like they put bridges over bridges, and
I know. It's like, oh my gosh, it's a zoo. Anyway, well, thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday morning to share with us. And
for
as I
having
said, the Grief from Grind anthology is coming out August 27th, and we're going to be having some. You can follow any of us, and we'll be putting information out about how you can, purchase the book, and when we launch it on Amazon and all that stuff. All that stuff is coming. So we're excited to finally, this process that we've been in for months and months, to see it coming to fruition. So I
yeah.
thank you again, Hope, for joining me this morning, and I hope you have a great weekend. And I will be seeing you soon in person in Texas. So for the
Yep.
launch.
Yep. Yep. It's
Awesome.
happening.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.